Hi friends, it's Miss Ellie from the Crown Point Community Library. Welcome to Story Time. So today we are having a story time all about a plant. And it's that time of year where we get to start planting things outside. Maybe we have gardens in our backyards, that kind of thing. And when you have a packet of seeds that you bought at the store or that someone gave you, usually you know what they are before you put them in the ground. But in our story today, we won't actually know what kind of a plant it is until the end of the story. So that'll be kind of exciting. And I just wanted to show you what a seed really looks like if you haven't seen them before. So this teeny tiny little dot in the middle of my paper, I taped it on there so you could see. That is a turnip seed. Do you know what a turnip is? It's kind of like a really big white carrot. And so it's a root vegetable. It can get long underneath the ground, and then we dig it up in order to eat it. But that teeny tiny little seed can grow into a big plant. So in our story, we're gonna read about a tiny seed, and we don't know how big it's going to get. So that will be the surprise at the end. We are also doing a craft, all about plants, where you're gonna make your own plant out of the materials that we give you. And here's mine that I made a little while ago. You'll get to see me make that. And if you, in this book, if you notice, the illustrations are kind of interesting because the author, now let's see if there's a bigger close-up one. That might be a good one. So you can see how his pictures kind of look like there's strips of paper cut out and kind of glued together. And that's because they are. Eric Carle actually made his own paper, which is interesting. And then he would make his own paper and paint it in a special way. And then he would cut out the shapes and then fit them together on a page however he wanted them to look. So that's really cool. And this book is really fun to look at. So I think that you will enjoy that. We have a lot to do today in our short amount of time, so we're not going to do our songs or our rhymes, even though we love doing those, but we're going to jump right in. So are you ready? Let's do it. The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle. Published by Picture Book Studio. It is autumn. A strong wind is blowing. It blows flower seeds high in the air and carries them far across the land. One of the seeds is tiny, smaller than any of the others. Will it be able to keep up with the others? And where are they all going? There's our tiny seed. One of the seeds flies higher than the others. Up it goes. It flies too high and the sun's hot rays burn it up. But the tiny seed sails on with the others. There he is. Another seed lands on a tall, icy mountain. The ice never melts and the seed cannot grow. The rest of the seeds fly on, but the tiny seed does not go as fast as the others. There he is. Now they fly over the ocean. One seed falls into the water and drowns. The others sail on with the wind, but the tiny seed does not go as high as the others. See him right there? He's close to the water. One seed drifts down onto the desert. It is hot and dry, and the seed cannot grow. Now the tiny seed is flying very low, but the wind pushes it on with the others. There's all the big seeds, and there's our tiny seed. Finally, the wind stops and the seeds fall gently down on the ground. A bird comes by and eats one seed. The tiny seed is not eaten. It is so small that the bird does not see it. Do you see it? It's right there. Now it is winter. After their long trip, the seeds settle down. They look just as if they were going to sleep in the earth. Snow falls and covers them like a soft white blanket. A hungry mouse that also lives in the ground eats a seed for his lunch. There he is. But the tiny seed lies very still and the mouse does not see it. I think that's our tiny seed right there. Now it is spring. After a few months, the snow has melted. It is really spring. Birds fly by, the sun shines, rain falls. The seeds grow so round and full they start to burst open a little. Now they are not seeds anymore. They are plants. First, they send roots down into the earth. Then their little stems and leaves begin to grow up toward the sun and the air. There is another plant that grows much faster than the new little plants. It is a big, fat weed, and it takes all the sunlight and rain away from one of the small new plants, and that little plant dies. See the big, fat weed? It's blocking everything from this little tiny plant. The tiny seed hasn't begun to grow yet. It will be too late. Hurry! But finally, it too starts to grow into a plant. So I think that must be our tiny seed. It's smaller than all the others. The warm weather also brings the children out to play. They too have been waiting for the sun and springtime. One child doesn't see the plants as he runs along, and oh, he breaks one. Now it cannot grow anymore. See his big foot? And he's playing outside without shoes on. Did you ever do that? The tiny plant that grew from the tiny seed is growing fast, but its neighbor grows even faster. Look at how big. Before the tiny plant has 3 leaves, the other plant has 6. And look, a bud, and now even a flower. But what is happening? First, there are footsteps. Then a shadow looms over them. Then a hand reaches down and breaks off the flower. A boy has picked the flower to give to a friend. Aw. Well, that's nice, right? But sometimes we like for flowers to be given to us. But it's sad that then the flower dies. It is summer. Now the tiny plant from the tiny seed is all alone. It grows on and on. It doesn't stop. The sun shines on it and the rain waters it. It has many leaves. It grows taller and taller. It is taller than the people. Look at that. It is taller than the trees. It is taller than the houses. And now a flower grows on it. People come from far and near to look at this flower. It is the tallest flower they have ever seen. It is a giant flower. Have you ever seen a flower that big? I haven't. All summer long, the birds and bees and butterflies come visiting. They have never seen such a big and beautiful flower. Now it is autumn again. The days grow shorter, the nights grow cooler, and the wind carries yellow and red leaves past the flower. Some petals drop from the giant flower, and they sail along with the bright leaves over the land and down to the ground. The wind blows harder. The flower has lost almost all of its petals. Look. It sways and bends away from the wind, but the wind grows stronger and shakes the flower. Once more, the wind shakes the flower, and this time the flower's seed pod opens. Out come many tiny seeds that quickly sail far away on the wind. Look at all those seeds. The end. So we saw it all the way from the beginning where it was a tiny seed. And then it turned into a giant flower that had a bunch of tiny seeds of its own. Pretty cool. So now we're ready for today's craft. In your bag, if you come to the library and pick one up, you'll find a piece of construction paper and a lot of different colors of cut up tissue paper. You'll need at home some regular old white glue, and then you don't have to use a paintbrush, but I'm going to use a paintbrush and I'll show you why. It makes it a little bit less messy, and then you'll keep from getting all that tissue paper stuck to your fingers. So just like our artist today in the book, we are going to create a plant, whatever kind of plant you want, out of our colored paper. So Eric Carle is very famous for making his own paper and collages and painting them. And so we're just going to take our pieces of tissue paper and do kind of the same thing. So I'm starting with a stem because my plant is going to have a stem. And it doesn't have to be a perfect shape like we saw in the book. Sometimes his shapes are not perfect looking, but you can still tell what it is supposed to be. And then if you want, you can make it look a little bit more interesting. You can add different colors on top and kind of glue it down. And you're giving your plant something a little bit more interesting. But it's your plant. It can look however you want. So my tissue paper tore right there. It's totally fine. I'm just gonna cover it up. See, because then when the blue shows through, it just looks like a darker part of the stem. That's what I wanted to do there. See, so it's just a darker part. Now, I am going to make a yellow plant because my favorite color is yellow. So, I'm gonna start the top here. Not sure what my plant should really look like yet. Just kind of stick them on however you want. Whatever seems interesting to you. Maybe I'll have a pink middle for my plant. Well, that's fun looking. And then do some yellow up here. This will kind of be, I think this will be a flower where it kind of opens into like a cup shape. Okay, it's starting to come together. See, and you just keep sticking them on. You don't have to do it in any particular order or design, whatever makes you happy. I'm gonna put more pink in the middle. Let's see. Make it a little bit darker. Ooh, there, like that. And then we're gonna give him some leaves because every flower needs some leaves. And I'm just gonna take my green like I did before, and I'm gonna put it over my blue. That fits pretty good. Just so I have some darker leaves, because sometimes the darker your leaves can be darker than your stem. And then we'll even put a little green one up here. Maybe some more yellow. So you get the idea. You can make your own plant, whatever is in your imagination, using your tissue paper. And I actually was going to show you one other trick. So if you take a little bit of, I'll do it with the pink so you can see, kind of make it stick out. So if you put a little bit of glue there and then wrap your tissue paper around the bottom of either a paintbrush or a pencil and then stick it on there, then it will stick up. And then you could have a 3D picture of your plant. That would be fun, right? So wrap it around, stick it on. There we go. Cool. All right, so I hope you have a lot of fun creating these at home. Okay, did you have fun with that story and watching the craft? I hope that you will pick up the bag so that you can do the craft on your own at home. Or if you don't come get the bag, if you have tissue paper laying around or even just colored construction paper that you can cut up and make your own plant, I think that would be really fun. So for more story times and virtual programming, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel or go to crownpointlibrary.org. I will see you next time. Have a good week.